Welcome to Photography with G-Man, where we will work together to take better pictures from the camera as well as from a mobile, because mobile nowadays is a very important tool which we have with us all the time. And then we will do camera reviews, lens reviews. We will also do a little bit of mobile reviews, only specific to mobiles, and a little bit of travel. While photography is something that demands a lot of creativity, we still have to understand that building a strong foundation where we understand the camera, how it works, and how the environment should be used together with the camera is vital to getting better pictures. So let us now start with the basics of photography. So what is photography? Photography is a combination of creativity and science. Why creativity? Because two people taking pictures in the same location would end up with two very different results. One might be something that would capture the essence of the moment, beautiful lighting, good shadows, good depth, but then totally different. Like it might just look like you're in a different location altogether. While someone who doesn't really know photography might just end up with a very flat picture. Then number two, why is it a science? Because photography, one is you've got the camera, and then you're playing with light. And if you were to have the same conditions throughout, in two different times, but then your camera setting is the same, your lighting is the same, your angle is the same, if everything remains constant, you will get the same result over and over and over again, but that will not really happen unless you're in the studio, right? Before we get into the workings of a camera, I'd first like to touch upon light, okay? We basically work on reflected light. You have a light source, right? It could be the sun if you're outside. It could be a bulb if you're inside, right? Indoors. So there's light coming off, it will bounce off my face or bounce off the face of a mountain or a tree or a plant. And then the light will go through the lens into your sensor, and that is where the image is captured. So in photography, we work with something called the exposure triangle. Now what is an exposure triangle? You have shutter, you have aperture, and then you have ISO. I think these three things basically work together in tandem. You cannot just say, oh, I'm just going to use one and not the other two. Okay? What is a shutter? Now, a shutter is basically an opening. When you press the shutter button, you basically open the sensor for a limited amount of time. So normally what we do is the shutter speed is determined by like 1 by 25th, 1 by 250, 1 by 500, or 1 by 4. So what does that mean? 1 is basically second, 1 second, divided by 125. So that is how fast or slow the shutter opens and closes. And if, let's say, the difference between a 125 and a 1/500, right, 1 by 500, basically means 1/500 is faster than a 125, and 1/4 of a second is slower than a 125. So what is the shutter used for? To basically capture that moment. For a standard portrait, you'd use a 125, right? And the faster, if the subject is moving, you'd want to go to faster shutters, like a 1 by 250 or 1 by 500, or even faster for, depending upon how fast your subject is moving. Now, what is an aperture? Right? An aperture is basically like a window, right? The bigger the window, the more the light that comes in. Smaller the window, less light that comes in, right? That's the difference between the shutter. Now, shutter basically is the amount of time when the window is open, whereas the aperture is the size of the window, okay? Is the size which determines the amount of light that is going to come in. Now, you will see this particular numbers like f2.8, f5.6, f11, right? Bigger numbers means a smaller opening, okay? And smaller number, like a 2.8, would mean a wider aperture, meaning a bigger opening, which would let more light in. So if you're inside the room, right, you would want more light to come in because there's already less light inside the room. And if you're outdoors and it's a sunny day, you'd usually be working anywhere between like an f8 or an f11 or sometimes even higher. Could you just use any aperture? No, you can't. While you go to a wider aperture, meaning let's say below a 5.6, if you were to use a f4 or an f2.8 or even a 1.8, right? I'm sure you know these pictures where, like, if you're taking my photo, for example, my background is blurred. So those are pictures that have been taken with a higher aperture, like a 2.8, right, or a 1.8. The lens that I'm using right now is a 1.8, and it has been set to 1.8, so that's why the objects in the background are a little blur. That is the kind of effect that the higher aperture gives you. And then you've got a lower aperture like an f8 or an f11, you know. So the bigger your aperture number, right, the smaller the opening, meaning less light comes in. So you would normally not be able to use those kind of apertures inside a room. And what is the effect in the picture? One is, yes, it allows less light, right? And number two, the impact on the picture is your background would be more clear. So when you're shooting landscape, you'd usually be, you know, like, let's say you're just doing a panorama. You'd usually be good with a f8, right? And then you could go either somewhat higher or lower depending upon your need, right? And now we talk about ISO, right? So now ISO basically determines how sensitive your camera or your sensor is to light. Your normal ISO would be at 100, okay? And then you can go higher up depending upon how good your sensor is, okay? Now, obviously, you know, more expensive cameras would have better ISO performance, meaning if you take pictures in a low lit area, you would not be getting a very clear picture. It would be very fuzzy, you know, a lot of distortion, right, in the colors. That is because your sensor does not have a very high ISO setting, okay? Now, the bigger the sensor, the better the light performance, right? Like Sony, for example, is very, very good with low light. Now, even Canon cameras have very, very good low light performance. And so you start off with 100. Now, when you shoot at 100, your clarity is at best, right? But then you cannot always use ISO 100. I, for example, would easily bump it up to 2000, 3000, 4000 ISO as well. But ideally, I would like to put it at 100 because that is when my pictures are most clear, okay? Good details, right? Good colors. Between, like when you talk about exposure triangle, between the shutter, the aperture, and the ISO, ISO is something that I would usually resort to at the end. Let's put the ISO triangle into practice. So now let's take another example, how we work with the exposure triangle. This particular picture was taken in Thailand, 2020 January. Now what I wanted to do was, I wanted to basically separate the subject and the background, right? I take down my aperture to 1.8. I'm using a 85mm Sony lens. Now, because I have my aperture at f1.8, when I have my shutter set at 1/25th of a second, it's gonna be too bright. So I take down now my shutter to 1/1600. Okay, so the shutter is going to be very, very fast now, and then my ISO is still at 100, and that is where I get the best picture. And this is the result that we get, meaning wider aperture gives you better bokeh, meaning more blurred background, and so your subject basically pops out. Okay, that is the kind of effect that it gives you. Now let's look at another picture where there's slight movement. Okay, slight movement. Reason for cranking up your shutter. So this particular picture was taken during my son's birthday a couple of years back. Now you start off with a 1/25th of a second, and your aperture has been set to, let's say, f9. But you do want a little bit of depth, right? Shallow depth of field. So you take down your aperture to f4. So you know that, let's say, there's going to be a little bit of these flakes, right? Because all the children there are now jumping up and down. So there's a lot of movement there, right? So what do? From 1/25th of a second, I take the shutter to 1/400th of a second, okay? So the shutter is faster. It's not fast enough to freeze everything. As you can see, the flakes are a little fuzzy in the front. After setting my shutter to 1/400th of a second and the aperture to f4, now my picture was still dark, coming out dark. So what do? From ISO 100, I take it up to ISO 400, okay? And then I have a clean picture. Now what do we do if your son or your daughter or your dog, maybe, is running around like crazy? So I'm going to demonstrate that with a picture I took of Rajesh in the national downhill competition. He's Nepal's top mountain biker, downhill. So this particular picture, you can see all the details, right? He's coming in really fast through a berm. You can see on the bottom part of him, so he's totally tilted, right? Mud going everywhere. Now, this kind of shot requires a higher shutter speed. Now, what did I do in this? I still wanted a good separation, right? So my camera only allowed me to go down up to f4. So my aperture was first set at f4 because I wanted a little bit of separation between the subject and the background. Second, what do? I crank up my shutter speed to up to 1,000th of a second, okay? Now I've got those two settings as I want, but then now the picture is coming out dark. So what do? This is something that I only work on right at the very end. I set my ISO to 400, okay? Now, what do I get? This. When your subject is moving faster, you want to use a faster shutter speed. So now that you've gotten a basic understanding of the exposure triangle, your camera, what you need to do is practice, practice, and practice, okay? That is the only way how you can improve your photography skills. And while you're practicing, go on YouTube and look at a lot of these, tutorials, which helps you take landscapes or portraits, So a lot of things. So the more you practice, the better you are. The more references you look up, the better understanding you'll have, right? So the key is to pick up your camera today and take as many pictures as you can, but only in manual mode, okay? I hope now you have a better understanding of how to use your camera. In the next episode, we'll be talking about composition. And if you are interested in learning more about photography, do hit the subscribe button. Until next time, thank you.